Today's theme for Museum Week is Explore MW, and what better place to explore this theme than a museum that has the whole world under one roof. First of all, can we talk about how beautiful this building is? The Tropenmuseum is the ethnographic museum in Amsterdam. The collection inside brings together items from all over the world. In their new permanent exhibition, Things That Matter, they're not afraid to ask some hard-hitting questions. It explores themes, some of them controversial, that connect people worldwide. After you're prepped with the tough questions, it's time to explore the world. Cultural objects from around the world are on full display for you to enjoy in both modern and old school display cases. I loved that old world feel as it gave you the illusion that you too were an early explorer. The museum currently has two very different temporary exhibits on. Longing for Mecca is visually empowering, and to be honest, a little overwhelming imagining being in the middle of the masses of people that visit every year. But the exhibit did bring the importance of this once-in-a-lifetime experience to the forefront. Cool Japan was, well, cool. All my manga and cosplay friends from high school would be screaming in this exhibit. I had never opened a manga book before this visit.
I don't know how to read manga. It's this way, right?
Yeah, you looked at, yeah.
I picked the most inappropriate one.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
But this exhibit really does make Japan look really cool. Someone please buy me a one-way ticket and unlimited tokens to this drumming arcade game, please. The Tropenmuseum is a hidden gem here in Amsterdam. Make sure you explore it on your next visit to the Netherlands. Inspired by our worldly visit to the former colonies when visiting the Tropenmuseum, our woman in culture is the Mata Hari. Margarethe Gertrude Zelle, better known by her stage name, Mata Hari, was a Dutch exotic dancer, courtesan, and, drumroll please, spy. Born in 1876, Margarethe originally studied to be a school teacher, though she didn't really finish because she had a, quote, sexual liaison, as someone put it, with the headmaster. Margarethe was bored in the Netherlands and was looking for adventure. So, at the age of 18, she answered an ad in the newspaper to marry a Dutch army captain in Indonesia. While there, Margarethe studied Indonesian traditions and joined a dance troupe. This is where she learned her signature moves that would make her a star. She separated from her husband in 1902, and Margarethe then moved to Paris. At the time, Oriental culture was very in fashion in France, and she decided to capitalize on her past experiences living in Indonesia. And thus, in 1905, Mata Hari, a Malay term for sunrise, or more literally, eye of the day, broke out onto the scene by performing these exotic temple dances for the Parisian elite. Think Satine from Moulin Rouge, but in real life and with the illusion of full butt exposure in a flesh-colored body stocking. Mata Hari's career lasted for 10 years until World War I broke out. As she was well connected, the Germans tried to contract her as a spy. She took the money, but didn't bring back NA intel. The French suspected her espionage, so in order to entrap her, they hired her as a spy too. Of course, the Germans found out, and then got her in trouble with the French. This ultimately led to her arrest in 1917. Mata Hari was convicted and sentenced to death by firing squad, even though she never really did any spy work. But even then, in the face of death, she refused to be beaten. She stood proud and tall, refusing to be tied to the stake, and met her end with grace and dignity. Margarethe Gertrude Zelle refused to be something that she wasn't, and left her mark on history in the process.
Thanks for coming along on that field trip with me, you guys. If you had fun on that adventure, go ahead and smash that like button down below. And if you want to come on more field trips with me in the future, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down there as well. This episode is brought to you in part by the Republic of Amsterdam Radio. They do an amazing podcast on the history of the Netherlands and a bunch of other really cool things. A link to their website and the podcast is just in my description below, so definitely go ahead and check them out. One last huge thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. If you're thinking of becoming part of the online community of Dig It with Raven, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. The link to that is also in my description. Stay dirty, my friends.